Hi everyone, I'm very excited to greet you at a new episode of Dev Propulsion Labs, the podcast about the business of developer tools. And today I have a very exciting guest, Veronika Dorogush, founder and CEO of Recraft, an image generation tool used by many designers across the globe. Veronika, hi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello.
Let's start with a bit of context. Tell us about how you became a DevTool founder. How did it all start for you? Because you have a background as an engineer, right? You were doing machine learning. How did you find your path to becoming a founder?
After working in Microsoft, Google, and Yandex, I understood that I'm a good builder. So I have a history of shipping products to successful results, and I actually really enjoy it. And because of that, I decided that I want to build a company. At the same time, it became obvious that image generation is a thing. And so there is a lot that can be done with it. And I took a chance. So I recognized that in image generation, you can build tools that can improve highly creative and design field. Decided to build a company in this area after a lot of experimentation, a lot of thinking. And started it. It took me just the experimentation and the decision on the first versions, what to build, took me months.
I have multiple questions on this. First, this is a design tool, right? And your background is not in design necessarily. How did you bridge that gap between image generation and making it a professional tool? Because that's what it is. How did you find that positioning? What led you to this conclusion?
Yeah, my background is engineering and machine learning. I'm a founder with technical background and technical experience. I started the company by recognizing an opportunity and starting to work in this field. Amazingly enough, I have a sister who is a designer. So when I decided to build a new product in the design field, I had opportunities to just talk to her, ask her questions about design, how different processes work, what the workflow is. So I have learned a lot from her. And after that, we started working with my first employee, who is right now our head of design. And we were discussing different options, prototyping, and building first versions of our product.
So, as you mentioned, you're a builder, and building is very comfortable. You know, it's one of those things that whenever I speak with people, I realize that it's very challenging for people to put their work out there, and it's very comfortable to stay building, perfecting the product, you know, and kind of like maintaining this kind of head down approach. How did you figure this out? What were the steps that you took in early experimentation to really solidify your positioning?
Yeah, and that is something that I would recommend to all the founders. Some of the founders come from product background, and it is easier for them to recognize the right steps, the right first steps when building the product. For other founders, they need to learn that. So the most important thing is to talk to your users. It's important to talk to your potential users and also talk to your existing users and to establish some formal and regular processes so that it happens all the time. We didn't do all of that from the start. I did have a lot of discussions with people from the design field, but I at first, like for the first months of the company, I didn't talk to our users enough really. Right now we do have regular processes for user experience interviews for all our new features. We always are testing if people are understanding this or not. We are talking to our existing users who are using the tool, understanding what are the things that they are solving with the tool, what are the most critical issues for them, how they are using the tool. And we are also talking to people who are not yet our users and learning a lot from them about their processes of design and their relation to AI tools. So the most important thing is to talk to the users really, to understand what are their pain points, to understand how the product you are building is helping them.
I want to give kind of like an overview of Recraft to our listeners because perhaps not everybody is familiar. I personally use Recraft for work. So basically, it's this canvas based AI generation tool. It does have vector capabilities, right? It vectorizes the image instead of when you think about Midjourney or something else, it's a raster image that you cannot really like tweak afterwards. So Recraft vectorizes, produces vector images, and it kind of serves a professional audience, right? It's kind of built for designers on their own turf. So they go to an interface that's very similar to, let's say, Figma in the setup, and you generate images based on your prompts.
I'd add something to this explanation. The most important thing about Recraft is image generation and editing for professionals. And what professionals need, there's several things that they need. The most important things are consistency and control. So if you are a designer, you need brand consistent imagery. You don't need a lot of different images that are not consistent with each other. You need a photo shoot, or you need a set of illustrations, a set of icons. So the first thing and the first major differentiator between technology that we are building and all other models is we provide style consistency. Like with a couple of clicks, you can create your style identity, create a new style identity, or create a generative style out of your brand assets, and then you can scale it. You can generate as many images, illustrations, photos, icons, whatever, in the same style. So the first thing is everything regarding consistency, and the second part is control. For professionals, it's important to not only exploration is also important, but also they need to get to the exact results that they have in their mind. And we are helping them by providing a bunch of editing tools, a bunch of controls like positioning control. So we are working on providing as much control over image generation and editing as we can. Plus, as you mentioned, there is workflow. Workflow is infinite canvas where you can have artboards, you can have a lot of images, you can manipulate images. So yeah, there's also professional workflow.
And beyond that, there is a powerful engine that runs all of this, right? So it all sits on top of a powerful kind of like engine under the hood, which professionals appreciate.
We are training our own models from scratch. Recraft V3, our latest model, is one of the best models according to public benchmarks. It was top one for close to half a year after the release. We not only provide professional use cases like brand support, we also just provide high quality image generation for all kinds of scenarios. We are training our models regularly. So right now we are training a new version of the model. It should be out soon. The major differentiator between ourselves and other AI native tools is we are building our technology from scratch in-house. And that allows us to solve for professional tasks. It allows us to build the models for our users specifically, to insert things like controlling styles, controlling brand colors, controlling fonts, controlling whatever is needed for designers and marketers.
How did you manage to do all of this with such a lean team? I mean, you're competing with like giant companies and you're a relatively small team, right? And you're not in San Francisco, you're in London. How do you manage to close this gap and produce so much with such a small team?
So there are several answers to that. One is I do have an amazing team on board. I have a very high density of talent in the team, and that's the thing that I'm most proud of in the company. So there's amazing talent that is proven by us producing best models in the world and best technology in the world. And that's the main reason why we are able to build state-of-the-art models and move so fast. The second thing is having very narrow focus and priorities. We are not building just image generation for anything without understanding who our users are. We are building for designers, for professionals. And we are focusing on a list of specific scenarios that we want to work really, really well. We are not working on 3D right now. We are not working on some other directions where we could have done something as well. We are just focused on producing the best models in image generation space for designers, for professional use cases. So focus is very important. And we are very compute efficient, and it helps save money. The way we train the models is different from what larger companies like Google or OpenAI do. We don't do large scale experimentation to select architectures. We do a lot of small scale experiments. So before running a large training run, we do a lot of small scale experiments. From those, we decide how are we going to train our large training run, and then we do have a one shot for training on a large cluster of GPUs that produces the final version of the model.
So, as you grow, what roles are becoming indispensable for you? Because now it's not just about technology, it's not just about a convenient, friendly interface, it's also about marketing, right? It's also about sales and support. What are the people that you cannot afford to lose right now?
There are different pieces of every company that are critical. For us as a technology company, machine learning and technology building is critical. So I always need to have the best talent in those roles. With building go-to-market, things like marketing and sales are becoming more important. We just hired our sales team. We just have opened 2 new offices. Our main office is in London. We also have open offices in New York and in Amsterdam right now. And we have hired our first sales team. It took me a while. It took me months of interviews to hire the perfect team. But right now, I'm very happy with who we have hired, because during the first weeks, the team has managed to start signing multiple contracts with large companies at much higher pace than before that. The sales motion is working really, really well right now. The main reason for that is because there's a lot of interest. There's a lot of interest from the companies to try out the tools. So people are willing to try. We have unique technology, and so there's a lot of synergies. So building sales team was a very important step for us. The growth function, we have just established the growth function in the team. Growth product is everything that helps the product to grow different metrics, to grow usage, monetization, to create viral loops. So we also just established this function, and it also it immediately started showing results. Those things are important. It's important to build those, and they are valuable for the company because we are signing contracts, we are increasing our growth. But at our stage, still, most important things, I believe, are core product experience, and technology. So even though you're like saying it's not just product and technology, it's first of all technology and product, but other functions are bringing results as well.
You mentioned that you have high density talent on your team and you talk to users all the time. How do you manage priorities? How do you, let's say, different users have different priorities, right? They provide different feedback. How do you navigate that? And how do you guys decide as a team, okay, here's what we need to double down on right now because what drives your choices?
We have a long-term mission to build the best tool in the design space that would help designers be more creative, be best versions of themselves, to provide technology that would provide control over image generation. So there's a long-term mission. To get there, we are prioritizing different tasks. Everything that we are doing, like we have a list of policies really that help us prioritize things. First of all, when we are choosing, those things are might sound easy, but it still helps you prioritize things. For example, when you are choosing what are the things in the technology that you want to improve, or what are the things in the product that you want to improve, first you are thinking, is this something that will move the needle for your core users or not? Because there's a lot that is valuable for some other user personas in the tool, and people might be asking for that a lot. But for the most important users that you have, it might not move the needle. You're prioritizing features that are important for your users. Second thing, we are prioritizing features that are simplifying experience. Even though or you might think that in the AI space, the interfaces are easier than the interfaces that have been there before AI, it's a lot of work to make those interfaces well understandable by our users, because it's very different from you had before. And on our side, we are building interfaces that are also different from what uh, tools that provide large language models access have, because we are not only doing text to image, we are allowing our users to provide visual hints to the models. So we are providing new interfaces for our users to speak to the model with text and with visual hints. So it's a lot of work to make it as easy and as understandable as we can. So we first of all prioritize those things. To do prioritization, you need to learn what your users need. You need to understand what are some tasks that they are solving, and you always need to think about long-term goals. So are you moving in the direction of long-term goals or not? I can say that during the lifetime of the company, we have not always been doing the right choices, and just formalizing those helps. I would advise to every founder to just formalize things that are really, really important for the product, and always prioritize features and prioritize new releases, looking at this like 5 to 7 things.
I want to give you an example of how we use Recraft internally, because I think it could showcase what the product can do to many people that are watching or listening to us. So we have a blog, right? And we publish about 2, 3 articles every week. And we used to hire human illustrators to illustrate our blog articles. And when image generation became available, we started toying with different tools. How can we create blog illustrations ourselves without having to reach out to human illustrators? So there's no bottleneck in the editing process of creating an article or publishing an article. And it was tough, because of the reasons that you mentioned earlier, where as a business, we want to create a cohesive style across different blog posts so people recognize us for illustrations and things like that. And we ended up going with Recraft because it was just easier to control the output and control the style that we have in the end. And now with an option to upload references, it's very easy. It's something that actually feels like a professional tool. So I'm personally very happy with what Recraft can do, and I use it all the time. But I want to ask you this question. How do you see this workflow of a marketing person or a design person evolve, let's say in 5 years? Because right now people are using Figma, people are using image generation tools, but it's not something that we rely on heavily because of unexpected results? So how do you envision this AI enabled workflow in, let's say, 5 years?
So yeah, we are super early in terms of technology, and you are right that it might be hard in many cases to get the result that you have in your head. Things are improving, and it will change dramatically, I think, during the next 2 years. First, the quality of results. You will be able to get whatever results you want without errors or without glitches. You will also have a lot of control around what you have. It will be easy to explain not only with words, but with, as I said, with some visual hints. What is the human pose that you want? What is the angle? What are different brand elements or different style elements that you need? So you'll have a lot of control over the output. Right now, there's two phases in the process of creating visuals. First, you do a lot of exploration. You normally want to see what are the possibilities, what are the options. Then you narrow your choice. You select some of the visuals that you think are close to what you like. Then you edit those ones. So you narrow it down, you iterate on those. Then there is some exploration again. So it's exploration, then narrowing it down, exploration, and narrowing it down. So right now, there is a lot of friction in each of those because you do not have enough exploration and you also cannot do precise enough edits. So those things will be highly improved. So that will happen during like next 2 years or so. During the next 5 years, the interfaces will change dramatically with the rise of technology. And we'll have a lot more AI assistants during the design process. So there will be more involvement of AI in those things. It's hard for me to say exactly how the interfaces would look in 5 years, but the goal is to come up with new ways of explaining to the model what is it that you want. I actually think that it's one of the most important things for us as humanity to learn ways how to explain things to the models, not only by prompting but also by other means, so that we'll come up with other ideas how to talk to the model so that the model can help you do your best work.
That's so spot on. I was at one of the meetups here in San Francisco the other day, and we were shown examples of how little context actually creates a lot of errors, right? When you give very little context to the model, it starts to kind of like create its own universe. So precise context and, as you said, guidance to the model can really improve the result drastically. And we as a team at Evil Martians are also learning how to communicate with models, even within Recraft, to get the result that we want to get. The difference between those results can be vast, like huge difference. And we're excited to see new tools. This being said, though, there's a lot of pushback. There are a lot of skeptical AI skeptics, which I understand. And there are a lot of professionals that are worried that their jobs are going to be taken away by AI. So if we think about, let's say, a role of a designer, there's the saying that you're not going to be replaced by AI, you're going to be replaced by designers who use AI, because it's kind of like a 10x designer who can really do more than a designer without those tools. So what do you tend to say to that pushback?
AI is a tool, and it's actually a tool that you need to master. To be able to design well with AI, you need to spend a lot of time learning how to do this, adapting to the technology, and you also need to be very open psychologically to using those tools. I think it's the same in different areas. It's the same with coding as well. It's not like you immediately can be a great vibe coder. It's like you can vibe code something, but if you learn how to use the tools better, you will be much more efficient. So designers who are embracing technology and who are open to letting technology help them being more creative and more efficient, it will be easier for them to do their jobs. At the same time, I believe that in the creative space, human creativity will always be cherished a lot because it's hard to be creative. It's hard to come up with new ideas and new things. And humans are very, very good at this. So I think in the design and in the creative professions, people are way more safe than in some other places. Again, back to coding, I think coding is like one of the first things to be automated. And I think in coding, people are not as much worried, even though AI is becoming like super powerful. AI is becoming super powerful in all areas. So it's very important to learn how to use it and use it as much as you can in your work. I believe in design, we'll have more design. I think in code it will be the same. We'll just have more code. We'll have more tools that are created all the time, because AI allows you to scale. It allows you to scale creation of all types of design that you were not trained initially to do or to produce.
I want to talk a little bit about the founding journey because you're a solo founder, right? You don't have any co-founders. You're also a woman, which is rare, especially in developer tool space. And I personally don't like this focus on kind of like female run business, but it is rare and I want to acknowledge that, so you become this role model for many women who might be intimidated by the space, and you're rocking it, right? You chose a difficult niche and you're doing a really great job. Have you ever reflected on, oh, perhaps things would be easier if I had a co-founder with complementary skills? Or do you feel like you're enough as a solo founder for your business?
There are pluses and minuses in having co-founders. Being a solo founder makes decisions more efficient. You are able to make decisions very fast. Hopefully, all of them are right. In these terms, it's easier. Also, there's less risks involved with things that are happening with co-founders. I know a bunch of companies who were ruined because of some co-founder problems. I recognize that having co-founders that are specializing in other areas where you do not have expertise might be beneficial, but it's just not necessary. So for me, having control over the decisions that we are making in the company and being able to execute it efficiently is more important than the potential support that I would get from co-founders with a complementary set of skills or just psychological support, which is also in many cases important.
The market is very saturated right now. There are a lot of new tools, there are a lot of AI tools. Do you have any advice to younger founders who are just finding their path? What do you think could help them in their journey, whatever AI direction they choose to follow?
AI field is definitely very noisy. You need to be super distinguished from everyone else, and you need to clearly explain this to the outer world. In our case, there is a bunch of AI tools and there is a bunch of design tools as well. But the differentiation between Recraft and every other AI model out there is that we do have this narrow focus on professional use cases. We focus on designers, we focus on brand consistency. And that is the differentiator. And you can clearly explain it to your users. And that helps you to fight the noise. So for all the founders building in the AI space, I'd recommend to focus on some niche that you can learn very well and where you can explain to your users how you're different from all other tools.
Does it help with fundraising as well? So would you focus on an investor that specializes in that domain that's not AI, or just having that distinct kind of like distinguished positioning is already in itself a strong point to make to investors, for example?
It really depends on the stage that you are fundraising. I think at the early stages for investors, most important things are the idea, if it's viable, and the founders. They need to understand why they need to believe in this particular founder. But every person that is building a company, every successful person, they have something very special about themselves, and they need to explain it clearly to investors so that investors can believe in them. In our case, it was that I had a history of shipping things, including open source, that were very popular in the world. So I did build successful products before. And also, I am very good at hiring great talent, great technical talent at that point. And I have a proof record for that as well. So for me, those things were the main reasons for our first investors to invest in the company. For other founders, so for every person it's different, but you need to have something that is very, it's like your superpower on the early stage. It's like pre-seed seed stages. But after that, things like how well you understand your users and what are the metrics, those things start to matter. In the AI space, successful companies are growing like crazy. So successful companies are growing their user base and their revenue much faster than it was before. And it's important during fundraising to show that this is happening in your company as well. So you need to grow. At the first stage, I think investors mostly are evaluating founders and founding teams. After that, investors are evaluating product market fit and retention, and later monetization starts to be very important. We've raised 3 rounds so far, and on every one of those rounds, different things were considered very important.
You mentioned that you're great at hiring. Do you have like a secret? Do you have any advice as to how to hire well? Maybe there are some hints you do it on intuition level, or it's something that you look for in people.
There's different areas where you need to hire. Sometimes you are hiring people in the field which you understand well. Sometimes you need to hire people in new fields which you don't know anything about or you do not know much about. So since I'm technical, I have engineering machine learning background, I do understand this field very well. I can give some tips around how to hire great engineers and machine learning people. There are some very specific places where you can find great talent. For example, winners of international competitions in different areas usually are amazing people. They are amazingly smart and hardworking. In machine learning, there's Kaggle. Kaggle is a platform with machine learning competitions, and in the team, I have people who have won Kaggle competitions and having gold medals. Another source is International Championship of Programming. Also, my whole backend team is medalists and finalists of World Championship in Programming. So there are these places where you can find just amazing talent in engineering or machine learning. So that's like one tip that I could give. Also, it's important to understand that strong people want to work with strong people. So if you already have a very strong team, other people would want to work with this team. And you can work on building a reputation of the company so that it's well known who are the people who are working for your company. And that helps your company to build a brand of having like super, super strong talent. That has worked in our case so far. So that's one thing. Another thing is hiring people in the areas where you do not have expertise. I did not have any expertise in marketing or sales or growth. The thing to do here is one, when you are interviewing people, you need to build some intuition yourself about what great looks like. To do so, it's good to find people who have a lot of experience in the area and who you not necessarily are able to hire, but just talk to them. If they agree, maybe have mock interviews with them so that you just can recognize can start recognizing great talent in this particular area. Also, it's useful to involve some external people in interview processes. Since you do not have enough experience to truly validate if this person is great or not, it is helpful for you to involve an external person on the final stages. What we do in the company, we have a structure of interviews where on each interview we are checking something specific for the role that we do not necessarily have the expertise, but we take advice from external people on what are the things that we should look for. We structure interviews around that, and then the candidates for which we have already high conviction, we pass those to some external people. And those external people you can find in your network. Investors are super helpful in that. So if you are hiring somebody to your marketing team, you might ask your investors to introduce you to like chief marketing officers in some successful companies. And they might be advisors of the company. They might just help out with a few interviews, but it will help the company to hire best talent in new areas. And again, if you already have great people in the team, this helps to hire great people in the future.
This is like golden advice. I've never heard about involving external people to do mock interviews. That sounds like almost like fine tuning your own LLM, to learn to identify certain traits in people. And this is great. I'm going to remember this. Thank you. So we have approached the end of this interview, and I like to ask this one question in the end. I call it warm fuzzy question. So what makes you feel great about what you're doing right now?
Yeah, so as I said, I'm very, very proud of the team that I have assembled in the company. It makes me very happy that I was able to build this team, and the team also appreciates their colleagues, and I know that. Also, it's super exciting to build in the design space and to build something very new that is not similar to anything that was there before. It's just very exciting and very inspiring. So I feel like I'm in a very lucky position.
Finally, let's have people try Recraft. How can people find Recraft? What can they do with it? Just give us a little short overview of how to get there.
So there's two things you can do. One is you can try out the tool. The other one is you can use the API. So starting with the tool, you just go to recraft.ai, you click on start using the tool, and you start generating images. We actually do have a pretty generous free tier right now. So you can do a lot of things for free to get a feel of what the tool provides. The most important scenarios that you can try out are try creating your own style. There's a whole workflow that helps you to create a style. You can create the whole brand identity with style and colors. Try to create your own style and a set of photos, for example, a set of photos in the same style or a set of illustrations. That's like the first step to get a feel about the tool. The next thing, since it's a podcast for developers and for founders in the developer tool space, I think it's important to mention that we do have the API available, which is also easy to use. Via API, it's possible to do most of the things that are available in the tool. You can create new images from scratch. You can create new images with style consistency, vector images. You can create variations of the same image in different aspect ratios or just different variations of the same image that are very similar or not very similar to what you have. We do have functionality, a part of image generation, things like vectorization, upscaling, just improving quality of the image. It's all available via API, and I'd be very happy if listeners would try it out and provide us with their feedback.
I think I've got a new toy that I need to bring to my team, and we should work with the API to create something internal. So thank you so much, Anna Veronika. This was a pleasure. We are rooting for Recraft. We hope that you reach the success that you're looking to reach. And I hope everybody tries Recraft and enjoys the experience. And yeah, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for catching yet another episode of Dev Propulsion Labs. We at Evil Martians transform growth stage startups into unicorns, build developer tools, and create open source products. If your developer tool needs help with product design, development, or SRE, visit evilmartians.com/devtools. See you in the next.